Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black Eel Podcast. Here are your hosts, Scott and Mike. One of the big things here is this episode we're going to be talking about the latest trailer for My Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
It's
No,
technically the first trailer, but yes, My Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
yep, freshman year.
I think that's like a subtitle, but yeah.
Yes, okay. Um, and then we'll move on to talk about Skeleton Crew, then Creature Commandos, and then a character spotlight from Mike. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the main points of today. So let's get right into it and talk about Spider-Man. Um, I I'll say this. I definitely have to agree with a lot of people. The animation's a little weird for me.
Yeah, I was looking at while it was. I kind of said this from the beginning when I first saw like snippets of it. I was like, it looks a little bit weird.
It kind of
I
gives me, you know what it gives me? It gives me Spider Punk.
yeah,
Like it gives me
it
Spider
gives
Punk
Spider
vibes.
Punk vibes. Yeah.
With the animation, I mean. So it's
Um,
giving me that, but it's
I I I'm like kind of iffy on it in general because it's like I'm sitting here watching and I'm like, I don't know how I feel. But then after it's talking about who created it, it's from the creators of X-Men '97, and I'm like, oh man, that means it's got to their track record is good. So it's like I want to have faith.
no. I think the story's gonna be great. I'm just worried about the animation a little bit. I don't know. And I don't think we've gotten enough where I can like really judge it. But what
and
I've seen,
I
it's too. I don't know. It's too like it feels like it's old and new animation all at the same time. It's so weird.
I mean I'm kind of in the boat now where I don't really care about the animation if just because it doesn't look modern in terms of like looks like X-Men 97. Like X-Men 97 looked really good. I don't really care about that because like you said, it's the story that matters. The looks of it, we can get adjusted to it. It's just the style that they decided to go with. It's kind of just like an aesthetically pleasing kind of thing. It doesn't really affect the overall story in the long run. Like look at
Well,
Rebels. When
well,
Rebels first came out,
I
everyone was
agree.
like, "Oh my god, this is terrible," and now it's like highly praised.
No, that's I'm just bringing it up because it's a thought that I have right now,
Yeah,
and I'm curious that if the story's good, am I even going to think of that? Because I think Rebels is one of the best shows.
yeah. Very like
No, no,
as
absolutely.
so many people were like, I refuse to watch it because I hate the animation, and they miss out on literally the greatest, one of the
I'm
greatest
still
shows
giving
ever.
look. I'm still giving this a shot. Obviously, I'm just stating like it wasn't like it didn't look like it was going to be visually good. I'll say it
Yeah.
that way. Um, the other thing too is I don't think we get to see the regular Spider-Man suit at all during any of these trailers we've seen of Spider-Man so far.
Um. No, I don't think so. It's just him starting out suit kind of thing,
Yeah.
and then the nanotech one, right? Is that what it's
No,
called?
that's not the nanotech. That's
Is white. That's all I
no,
remember.
it's the white one. So in the I obviously it's different storyline than the comics, but in the comics that's actually the one that's made for him when he joins the Fantastic Four.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
he takes over Human Torch's spot because Human Torch sacrificed himself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not going to happen on this.
No, no, but I just wanted to bring that up because and then it turns out Human Torch wasn't dead. And I put that in quotes because he did die a lot, but then he kept getting brought back a lot. It was a whole thing.
Marvel
Um,
Comics.
no. Whatever universe he went in to stop these creatures from coming in, they would eat him and like rip him apart little by little, then regenerate him and do it over and over again. So he was like literally in hell. Um,
Thanks for that image.
oh no, you're welcome. If I had to know that, you have to know that. So anyway, so he joins the Fantastic Four. Although this time he gets the white suit because they out of respect for Human Torch, they didn't call themselves the Fantastic Four. They called themselves like the something. Um,
Yeah.
well, no, because he has joined the Fantastic Four before and gotten his own suit, and then he wears a brown paper bag on his head.
Oh,
Um,
oh yeah, I remember that. Yep, yep,
So
yep,
that's
yep.
when he's actually in the Fantastic Four, like the real Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Where this one, although it was the Fantastic Four, they called it something else because out of respect for Johnny dying.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it does make sense.
no, it does, and they all had like white suits, which were really awesome. Uh, and obviously Spider-Man had that one, but in this one, it looks like
I was
Hometown
looking
Joan
up.
is the one that makes it.
Yeah, I was looking. Yeah, Norman Osborn definitely. I know that. I remember when when the show first got announced, I had mentioned about how he was teaming with Norman Osborn, and a lot of the fan base were complaining about that because the history of Norman and Spider Man. So
Yeah, but
I'm
you know what?
very interested to see how that'll play out.
But I think that's also like I'm trying to think of a good example, but like Lex Luthor teaming up with the heroes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And again, I'm not stating it's exactly the same thing, but it's one of those things where it's like it's not that crazy,
no, like
it,
it's one of
but
those things. Like
it's
it's one of those things where if you're starting a show and like the
the
baseline of the
concept.
character, like just jumping into an entirely new concept than what the general audience knows.
Yeah,
So that's going to be like, it's one thing if you start off where he's the bad guy and then eventually,
yes,
like, as the show progresses, then he changes feelings or whatever, or introduces multiverse.
yeah.
But going right off the rip and automatically doing something very different than what everyone's used to is a bold move. I'm not saying it's not going to work out or whatever, but it's just from it's a negative standpoint right from the start. It's just something that
I
they have
yeah.
to work. It's an obstacle they have to overcome.
But also too, like this is meant to be, I'm assuming, a 4 season show minimum. Um, because they're gonna do each school year.
What did you say? You cut out for a second.
I said this is gonna be a minimum of a four season show.
Oh, that's confirmed.
Well, because it's freshman year, they're gonna be doing all of high school.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. For the Okay, that makes
if it
sense.
flops, they're not gonna do it. But I mean, like the idea is a minimum of four. Um,
So I just looked it up because I was looking up. I know I had looked it up before. I didn't remember what it was. The white suit, which it's called the
it's not the
Future Foundation suit.
Future Foundation. Thank you. That because I knew it was FF still, meaning like I knew it was still like they went with the FF because it used to be Fantastic Four, so they kept the FF, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, no, I had looked it up previously because I knew I obviously recognized it. I just didn't remember where it was from. I just obviously again didn't remember the name of it. So
Gotcha. But yeah, overall, I mean, it looks good. I mean, we got to see Flash Thompson, MJ, um, Harry, and we also get to see the most iconic. All right, so you know the most? Let me rephrase it. Because the very first comic cover of Spider-Man is him swinging his web and holding somebody.
hmm.
They actually have him doing that with Harry Osborn in this. Um, so it's supposed to pay homage to the beginnings.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, it literally doesn't do anything like change anything or anything like that. It's just the idea of like showing like where we started and here we are.
This
Um,
is the beginning. Yeah,
yeah, I think for me too. I'm gonna give this a lot of credit. We don't see any villains other than Norman, which I find to be very interesting. So I'm wondering if we're gonna be sticking with just criminals, like meaning like non-super villain criminals to start off
yeah.
with, and then they build themselves up later.
I mean, it would be good for a first season. Like getting him started. He's going to be a small guy, and
Well,
then
like we have the Russian, like we have
the
the Russian,
villains
and we meet up
evolve
with
as
Rhino
he.
before he's Rhino. We have we
Mhm.
meet with Scorpion before he's Scorpion. You know what I mean? Like all these guys, Vulture included. Like all these
Yeah,
guys have the potential of being seen, very much like Penguin, or like where we get to see like the growth of them, like
yeah.
how they
No, it
evolve.
would make sense. This is Spider-Man's beginning before before the city really got out of control. Absolutely, it would be a good universe setter before instead of just jumping right into the action. Just like it would mean like probably season one might be a little bit slow if they don't have any big name villains. But I mean, again, it seems like he's just starting out where he still hasn't got his real suit.
Yeah.
So um, I'm interested to see if Norman actually knows that. Uh, if Norman knows that he's Spider Man, just because if I
I
remember
got the
correctly,
vibe. I
yeah,
got the
he got
vibe
the
from it.
vibe that he knows.
Yeah. I mean, in the comics, he does find out. I mean, I'm multiple. I mean, let's be honest. Every rendition of Green Goblin knows who Peter Parker is
Hmm.
at some point.
Yeah,
So it's not going to be Norman Osborn. It's not a shock that he would know who it is. but I'm curious if if he's gonna know right away,
Yeah,
or if it's gonna be one of those things where it's like I'm teaming up with Spider-Man because he's helping my business.
that's something we'll see.
Yeah, but
And
overall, it looks okay. I'm very curious to see where it goes. It comes out what, January 15th?
I thought it was the 25th, but I
Oh,
will
maybe it
look
is the
that.
25th. I could be wrong.
I'm
I
looking at that right
I
now.
know I'm
Friendly
talking
Neighborhood
in the
Spider-Man.
gaps of silence because I knew you'd be silent while you look it up.
Shut up, you.
Oh, now all of a sudden we understand what's going on.
I don't know what you're talking about. January 29th.
Oh, we were both wrong.
I was closer.
Yeah, okay. Getting close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. So, um,
now every time you get something wrong is, oh, I was close. Mike gets something wrong. No, it has to be precise.
because of how you are, yes, you need to be
How
precise.
I am.
Because you're the
I want to
sore
point
winner.
out that you're the sore winner. This is why you never win at Risk. All right.
This is 100% true, and I hate my life for it. You know, I really wish you wouldn't have brought that up. But anyway, let's get right into Skeleton Crew. So this episode was interesting. I will say this: it was definitely more of a build-up episode, in my opinion. Not in a bad way. It still worked for what it was meant to do.
Mhm.
Um, but I definitely felt like this was more of a build-up episode.
Absolutely. It was because throughout the show, the kids definitely still had a lot of tension. They didn't trust each other. All this, they kept doing their groups, and this is when
Yeah,
the group finally like split up and did like,
but split up differently.
yeah, they split. Normally, it's Wim and Neil and KB and Fern, but this time it swapped. It was Wim and KB and
Yep.
Fern and Neil.
Yes.
Um, and they both. This all was like this was all a character building for them, which
Yeah.
was absolutely fantastic. Because Fern, the big theme of this episode was very much not everyone can do everything. It focused on like, I don't want to say I don't want to say disabilities, but like
Ableism.
people's
It was
limitations.
so it really was the point, and I have to agree with you 100%. I think it focused more on, yes, ableism in the sense of like, just because you can't do everything doesn't mean you're not good enough type of thing,
Yep.
which I mean has been shown right from the get-go with these kids, let's be honest, because
Oh
they
yeah.
all have their strengths and weaknesses. But so doesn't everyone else. And I think the other aspect that we forget, myself included, like I'm not trying to just dig you under the bus, but myself included is, everyone is different. So like, meaning like they're all gonna be good at different things, and they're all
Mm.
gonna be bad at different things. Um, where Wim is not afraid to do a lot of stuff, but because of that makes a lot of bad choices. We have
Yep.
KB who's analytical, but because of that doesn't take a lot of risk and could cause some issues in that front. Neil, on the other hand, really wants to be more of a diplomat and doesn't understand violence and conflict. Um, and what I mean by that is like he doesn't understand the idea of conflict because in his mind it should be easy just to talk it out.
Yep.
Fern, on the other hand, is much more action based. She doesn't always, I don't want to say she doesn't think before she acts, because I don't think that's the right phrase I want to use, but I think she overlooks things when making actions,
Yeah.
which is also her downfall. But them combined make an excellent team because they
Yeah.
really round each other out. And I think that's what we found out in this episode, more so than the rest of the series. Not that they haven't been hinting at it for like the whole series. I'm just saying this particular episode like showcased that very much so. Um,
This was the episode where it finally all came together,
yeah,
because
agreed.
like you said, they were doing it the entire season, but
But it was
the kids themselves weren't aware they were doing it.
yeah.
Now it's out in the open, and it's going to be for them to be more aware.
Put it this way,
It
there was nobody else in this episode with them technically. Like obviously we had another part to talk about, but like they throughout the rest of this whole series, they've always had an adult present. This was the
Yeah.
first time they didn't.
Yep.
And
Yeah, because I guess they we would
I
consider we would consider KM an adult. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm considering it an adult even though it's not, but you get my point, right?
Yep.
Like that's how I'm considering it. But yeah, no, this was a great episode. I love the crabs, the trash crabs.
I actually thought that they were. that they were trying to help women and whatever, and then like, they were just leading him to a giant crab monster, and it's like, oh, you're gonna get eaten.
I honestly didn't think they were. I'll say this: I didn't think they were going to be helpful at all. However, I was not expecting them to have a master like massive big one to
Yeah.
be like, it's hungry. You're gonna be fed now. And
Yeah,
I was
no.
like,
Okay, let's put it like this. I agree. Like I didn't expect it to like, oh, we're leading you to safety. I thought they were going to be leading them to like a better, more just a more open place for where there's more
or
commotion.
like a safer place or whatever,
Oh,
just
yeah.
in general. And obviously that wasn't the case. But then Fern and Neil jumping onto the. So at first, because I watched the episode twice. Um,
Oh yeah. Oh.
uh, well, no, because I watched it with my aunt on Thursday,
Oh, okay.
but I watch it Tuesday night. Um, but no, what kills me is the first time I saw it, I thought they landed on their actual ship
Oh.
at first, and
Uh-huh.
so I was like, "How are they? How is there a knob on top that controls the whole ship? That's stupid."
Nope.
And then obviously I caught on the second time because I guess I must have like not been paying attention enough. Because
Clearly,
I don't know
because
because
that was very evidently not their ship.
absolutely when I watched it the second time I was like, I don't know how I could have gotten that wrong. Um, but anyway, so they jump on one of like the little four transports that are trying to bring the ship to the space junkyard, and I just find that to be hilarious because they're then controlling that little robot that was allowing them to get low enough for Wim and KB to jump on, and then they crash and they land on the ground. They have the little heart to heart, and then they look over to their ship and see this massive like um, incinerator machine get ready to eat their ship. They run over to it, try to stop it. They fail technically. They try a bunch of different things, and then they hit the button that they're not supposed to hit, and then it turns into a smaller ship.
It's like it was an emergency exit situation. You know, like
That's what
a
I figured it was meant to be, but it looked like it was like we're removing the skin of the ship and we're getting out of there,
yeah.
which
That's
is what it was
basically
technically.
was. I have to say that new ship is sleek. Like I think it looks fantastic.
I I agree, but I think what throws me off is, and this is like I think this is because I don't know where everything was on the ship. If you understand what I mean, like I just assumed like the bridge was in the front of the ship, which it is on that ship. But I mean, like on the big ship, I thought it was more front. So
I
that's
thought
why
it
I
was
was.
too, but they purposely never showed us for
No, that is
So
also true. That is
I
also
mean,
true.
if you like look at if you look at like the even like the Imperial Star Destroyers, like the deck of the ship is that giant tower in
Yeah.
the back. So
No, you're right. I'm just stating like I just made assumptions, and so that
yeah,
throws me a little
I
bit.
mean, I assumed that as well. I assumed that it was in the front of the ship because they never showed us, and it was just like, okay, a logical thing. It's going to be in the front. Clearly, we were wrong, and it was actually either in the middle or in the back.
I was gonna say it was well. I'll say like the ship itself is in the back, or like the emergency ship was in the back, and then the bridge would probably be closer to the middle. Um, but either way, still cool. Did like it. I'm assuming the next episode is. Oh wait, we got to talk about Jack first.
Oh yeah,
Um, so Jack gets arrested by the pirates, captured by the pirates. He tries to have KM attack and gets shut down again.
yeah.
I'm hoping they brought KM with them onto the ship.
I'm hoping.
I'm, ass- I'm well.
Cam just gets his butt kicked.
I'll say this: he has to because that's the only way
That's the
Jack
only
can.
way they have the location of
Yeah. So
at Atten.
correct. So I mean, like I think that's the only way it will work. But anyway, so he has his trial, which is he's being sentenced to death. Um, and he's like, and then they have to do the pirate code. Um, who I'm assuming that woman is probably his mother.
I don't think it's his mother. I think it was just an old
Mother
crew member
figure. I'm thinking
that's
mother figure.
very. I thought it was just someone that's just very much like gotta go by the rules. You know how we have there are those
True.
certain people that is like, oh, you gotta follow the code.
Well, I'll say it
Um,
this way. I'll say it this way. The reason why I think it's his mother, is because it reminds me so much of Pirates of the Caribbean, and the guy who's so much about the rules is Jack Sparrow's father.
That's fair. Yeah,
So
that is
that's the
fair.
only reason. That's the only reason why I'm putting the parallel there. There's no other reason for it. There's not a single other reason for it.
That's
Um,
fair.
but I mean,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Disney likes to do the same thing over and over again. So
but it was successful the first time, and it's looking like it's successful the second. So
yeah,
um, yeah. So then we have the appeal, which is he gets a sort of amount of time, however long it is. We're never quite sure how much.
yeah.
Um,
Whenever
the
the
ooze,
hourglass runs out,
yeah, whenever the ooze goes to the bottom. And I gotta say, he is so charismatic in this character. It is so good.
he is very charismatic. Oh yeah.
He doesn't.
It's very easy to see why he would be a leader because of how much personality he's got.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Um, and I think so. He talks about AT-AT and everything else and all this stuff, but he does it in such a great way that I don't even want to attempt it because I know I will butcher it.
No, no,
But
yeah. But he knows. But the important thing is too.
he
Like
knows
you.
each of the crew members individually and like what their hopes and dreams are, and like we could do that like soon. Like imagine that being a not a dream, but a reality. And
Yeah.
it was so much of that. And then at the end, I legitimately thought they were still gonna kill him.
Yeah, that's when the
When they
wolf
start
grabs him,
grabbing
I'm
him, I
just
was
like,
like, he was like, you'll get to live until we get to see Atten and its treasure.
yep.
And I was like, oh, okay, that went better than I thought because at first I thought they were gonna be like, oh, great, let's work with them. And although that did happen, it didn't happen. It happened very much like a pirate, meaning
Oh
like
yeah.
we're gonna capture you, you're gonna show us where we want, and then we're most likely gonna kill you then.
Yep.
Um, so I'm assuming both parties are going to At, and the next episode is both parties landing in At.
You buffered a second. So you both parties are going to at Atten, and that's
No,
basically where you left
that's
off.
pretty much just no meaning like it was just basically like that's gonna be where the episode it takes place like next episode. I feel
Yeah.
like it's gonna be them. There might be a little bit before they go to At, like them putting in the coordinates and stuff, and then we'll get a little bit of At, and then we're gonna see them hyperspace to it. And I feel like it's
I wonder what the adults are going to be doing, the parents, because we
well,
haven't seen them for a couple of episodes
I'm
now.
thinking we're gonna see them next episode because it's gonna be the lead up of them seeing two ships going towards
Oh yeah.
At, and then they're going to have like this huge debate on whether to shoot them down or not. Because I have a feeling that's going to be a thing.
Yeah. That's the robots are going to be not too thrilled about an invading ships. So
Correct. So overall, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's where the episode's going to go. I can't imagine it doing anything else.
this is
Um,
next week's the last episode, right?
I know Creature Commandos is.
Yeah,
I
Creature
thought,
Commandos episode is next week. Final
but
episode is next
I
week,
thought
which
it was
caught me
eight.
off guard.
I thought it was 8 episodes for um, Skeleton Crew.
If we get one more episode, I think that would be good. Because
Yeah,
I
it's eight
mean, even
episodes. It is 8 episodes.
it is so.
Yeah.
Unless next week is a 2 episode thing, then
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
um,
Yeah, Creature Commandos is 7 episodes.
yeah,
Okay, so it's 1 week off, which isn't that big of a deal. That makes sense to me. Um, but no, so that's good. So it's not. So yeah, There's got to be another episode because I feel like there's going to be the big reveal of the treasure in the season finale.
yeah.
Which makes
Because I was
sense.
gonna like I was like if both shows are ending next week, I already want more for Creature Commandos, but like for Skeleton Crew, I just feel like that would be way too much to put into
But
one more episode.
hasn't it been confirmed that Creature Commandos is getting a second season?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I mean, we still have to wait a while for it, but I mean, in general, we're going to be getting another one.
I'm just sad because I love the show so much that it's already ending, and it's like, oh.
Well, and then good segue. I know that the final episode is going to be about Nina,
That's the only one we haven't gotten.
but it's also because of what they say at the end of the episode.
What did they say? I
Was
don't
it the end
remember.
of the episode or was it before that? Oh, you know what? I think I saw the after credit scenes.
There was an after credit scene?
Like they did a promo for the final episode.
Oh, okay. I don't remember. There hasn't been an after credit scene for the entire season, and then
No,
this one.
no, this one they had like the promo to the series finale. A season
Okay,
finale.
yeah. Each episode had a promo for the next episode. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no,
This
I
is the
saw that.
first one
I
I
saw
saw.
after the first episode, I saw that, and I was like, I'm not doing this again.
No, so I did it for this one. Well, because this was the only one I ever saw. So I thought it was like new, because I was like,
No,
oh,
no.
they're building this up because it was like next week, the final episode, right? And Nina has to be the one to kill the princess.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
spoilers. It was in the promo.
thanks.
Well, no, it's just so funny because the bride gives her a gun and she's like, you're gonna have to go and kill the princess." And she's like, "Why?" Because you're the only one that's gonna be allowed to get close enough.
That's fair.
Which, to be fair,
No,
when
that
you
is
hear
fair.
that, it 100% makes sense.
Yep.
However, still not thought, didn't think that.
No,
I would have
I
never
mean,
thought that.
out of everybody, no one takes Nina seriously and takes her as a real threat. So that would make sense.
Yeah. So speaking of this episode, we have this one. This was Dr. Phosphorus's episode, um, which was
You know. I have to say, like, I loved. Don't get me wrong, I love the episode,
but
but the whole heart jerking thing about how everyone has a tragic backstory and that's why they're not actually shouldn't be where they are is absolutely devastating.
so I'll say this: out of all of them, well, no, the bride and him are the only two that did something significant that they should have been in jail.
I don't remember what the bride did.
She just killed a bunch of people.
Oh,
It was
okay,
like it
yeah, yeah.
was like a quick. It was
Well, did she? Because it was she was constantly fighting Frankenstein. Did she actually kill someone?
Yeah, she's killed a bunch of people.
Okay, I don't remember
But
that,
I think
but
it's just the idea of it was the assumption that she's killed a bunch of people because she's done it throughout her entire lifespan. Um,
okay.
um, and then Dr. Phosphorus, although he shouldn't have become Dr. Phosphorus to begin with, but once he became,
Once he became
he
like
he
events
just
led to
he
one thing into
deserved
another.
what he deserved the prison sentence. I'll say that he
Yeah.
did not deserve what he got to get where he was. I'll say that.
Yes.
But the yeah, when he got arrested by a friend of ours that we'll be talking about later, um, we'll go over that in a minute. So the 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 four creature commandos all split up. Nina and the bride find each other first,
Hmm.
and they get stuck in a brothel, which I still find to be hilarious. Also, did you hear a familiar voice in the brothel?
I possibly. I just right now I'm not
The
remembering.
madam. The madam
Oh, okay.
is the Maroney's wife.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, her voice was very much like
So
I'm
I'll
like,
say this:
okay,
she
it.
sounded more gravelly in this. I'll say
Yeah.
that, but it was her. And
The voice the voice when I heard it, I'm like, that kind of sounds like something, but I'm just gonna assume just because of the ravelly voice, the who she is, like they just wanted to have that ravelly voice. Oh wow, interesting.
so I thought that was kind of interesting, just
Yeah.
because she's staying in Max, which makes sense. I mean, let's be honest. She's probably gonna do a bunch of little parts until she's given a big part in the DCU, maybe if she gets one.
I mean, she did have a decent role in the Penguin already, so I
Yes,
mean,
but that's not part of the main universe. It's Elseworld,
oh yeah, okay, that's
so it's
fair.
like
You're talking about her just transitioning. That doesn't always mean that they'll transition.
no, absolutely. I'm just saying in general.
Hmm.
Well, technically, she is in it because this is the
That's
DCU.
true. That's actually
I
100%
literally just
true.
said it because you're like, and then I was like, oh no, he's actually wrong, and I'm wrong. She's already there. So anyway, we get to the brothel and everything else. We have Weasel training wolves.
That was so funny.
I legitimately thought they were going to be fighting, and then all of a sudden the stick came around. I went, "Oh gosh!"
As soon as they surrounded him, my first thought was Weasel's gonna tear them apart.
Oh
And
no! So I'll say this: I didn't think Weasel was going to lose. I'm
yeah,
stating like I just was like, "Oh, they're going to fight."
oh no, I was expecting the fight, and I'm like, I don't want to see the wolves get killed for no reason. Like this is unnecessary. And then all of a sudden they're just playing fetch. I'm like, are you kidding me?
They were frolicking in the grass.
That is so funny.
Definitely a funny one. And so I'm going to talk quickly about the brothel before we move on to Dr. Phosphorus, because Dr. Phosphorus carries the rest of the show for obvious reasons.
This was his episode.
Yes, I mean that's exactly it. Also, the best pimp outfit I've ever seen anyone wear.
We
Which
also
we'll
had
discuss later.
Frankenstein for a couple clippets and Amanda Waller.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. Shush.
I'm just going through all the characters that appeared.
in Rick Flag. So we're gonna. Well, he didn't do
That
much.
goes with Amanda Waller.
That's fair. So we have the brothel, and the bride basically is like. So Nina's hilarious because she's like, "Oh, we can play like games and stuff, and like, oh my god, it's like a girls' sleepover," and the bride's like, "Really? They're a bunch of whores," and that's when the madam is like, "Really?" She's like, "We use our bodies as weapons just like you. The difference is you use them for killing." And she goes, "And I can tell you have no respect for yourself." And she's just like, doesn't say anything, which is probably because she's accurate. Let's be honest.
Yep, 100%.
So first, the royal knights come in to try to see if the bride and Nina are there. Um, they obviously get seduced. One of them heavily more than the other.
Yeah,
Um,
one of them is very much just loves what he sees.
and then they get they basically leave, and then they get barged in by these brothers, who we find out a little bit later that they are metahumans. Are they? I'm assuming they got to be real characters. Okay.
Yeah, they are.
They mean
Um,
nothing to me because they obviously don't last long. Spoilers.
Fair.
Um,
What,
but as
what
soon
are
as I
they?
saw the electricity, I was like, I gotta know them. Like because they definitely have thunder and lightning, are they? They can't be
No, no, they're not. Nope. Um,
because they wouldn't both have electric powers. They're Irish electric brothers, right?
they are. They're called the Craig brothers.
Okay, and they are.
Stay tuned. They're my character spotlight.
Oh, okay. That's what. That's fair. I thought you were showing it to talk about it right now. So anyway, um, yeah. So they we go. So they grab a girl and bring her upstairs to have their way with, and apparently one of them starts beating up on one of them. The madam steps in and is like, "That's not happening," and metahumans are allowed in, but not to use their powers. She gets choked out. That's when Nina starts stabbing him with a broken bottle, and they then begin to get into an argument. The bride comes in with Nina, but just is like up against the wall waiting for stuff to
Stays in the
happen.
back.
And then the other
Sees what
brother
happened.
comes in and he's like, "What's going on? I'm gonna end this!" And he starts to use his electricity, and then she shoots him in the head. And the big guy's like, "You killed my brother!" And then she takes off her jacket and starts beating him. Granted, she does get hit once though, and like knocked through the wall, but then she comes back and just beats him, breaks his arm, and then
Rips his arm off.
well, it's hanging it's hanging by part of his skin. There's
Yeah,
like no bone attached anymore. I'll say that.
yeah. No, she's got that. She's got the Frankenstein strength. You know,
Yeah, she's got that dead strength. So she then kills him, and
by
um,
ripping out his heart.
yeah, and squeezing it in front of him.
Hmm. And she's
And
super calm about it too. Like it's just like she just rips out his heart as while he's staring at it. He's like, this is probably not how you pictured your day going." And then
I
just
also think that pays homage to like the bride just not caring anymore.
oh yeah.
Her whole life has been ruined because of Frankenstein, and she's just like. Also, I don't think I realized that his name is Eric.
Oh, you didn't click on that.
Not for a while. It was a long time before I clicked on that, longer than I would like to. But anyway, back to the bride.
That's funny.
So they're getting ready to leave, and they're like, "Where's the direction of the castle?" And they point, and then they head out. And let's talk about. So at the very beginning of the episode, Rick Flag gets dropped off at some sort of emergency room. Amanda Waller and the other guy gets called in. They're trying to figure out what's happening. They find out that the monster that brought him in was Frankenstein, Eric Frankenstein, and they're like, "Oh no, he's going to try to stop the bride from killing the princess. We have to like stop him from getting there. We got to get all international flights like shut down immediately." As that's happening, we see Frankenstein kill two rich guys who apparently are flying their private plane to the princess's country. And the pilot comes out and is like, "We're ready to." And Frankenstein's like, "I think my friends here would like us to still go to, um, I can't remember the name,
I forget.
Bolscavia or something like that."
Yeah.
And he's like, "And I think if you don't want to be like them, I think you want to turn around and get the plane in the air." And he goes back to the cockpit. Um, and the guy's like, and the other pilot's like, everything okay? Everything's great. Let's go.
Yeah, the co-pilot just has no idea.
Yep. And then Frankenstein eats. I think the weirdest part of the whole episode is when, well, not the whole episode, but the weirdest part of this part of the episode was when he takes the food away from the blood dripping guy's head to him, and he begins to eat.
It's not like he knows the difference.
Maybe it is
So
Frankenstein.
he has no taste buds, so
Yeah, pretty much. Um, but yeah, so that was the end of that piece. So then let's talk about.
he
Um,
does make it to the he does make it there, and he pays the pilot and then leaves. I was expecting him to murder the pilots just because that seems to be his track record.
well, they did exactly what he said to do. The other one's made in front of him because he can't grow hair. Remember?
Well, again, for
No,
no
I
reason.
no, it was a reason because of how gorgeous Rick Flag is.
I want to
Um,
point out though, the pilot in the military base didn't do anything wrong. He was just flying, and then he just killed him for no reason. He didn't do anything.
he gave attitude. What's going on? What are you doing? Done. Um, you don't question Frankenstein. Come on. Um,
I, I don't want to get murdered.
my point. So then we have Dr. Phosphorus who runs into a house for safety, and there's this little girl there. And
Before you move on to that, we kind of glanced over Amanda Waller because we talked about Frankenstein, but Amanda Waller, we saw a little bit of emotion from her and how much she actually does care about Rick Flag, which I thought that was really cool to see. It's not what you typically see out of Amanda Waller, so I thought that was. I mean, obviously she wants to know what happened, but
I
like
think
she
that
actually is,
well,
she
I'll say this.
actually
I
respects
agree
him
with
and cares about him.
I agree with you. However, I was leaning more towards on the other end of the sense of she's only doing it because she wants the information. That's just a
Well,
me thing. That doesn't mean I'm right. That doesn't mean
well,
I'm right.
no, no,
But she
but like
definitely started
the
moving.
if Rick Flag was unconscious, so it's not like I mean, depending on your personality, like if people there's a theory that if people are unconscious, they can still hear you and hear everything you're saying. So, but not everybody believes that. So she's basically pleading with Rick Flag to get better and encouraging him. That's not the side of Amanda Waller you normally see. It's normally like you stupid, like you should be doing better, you're a fool and whatever. But no, she was actually like caring and encouraging him.
No, that's fair. I'll give you that. That I will agree with. But I also think it has to do with the fact of his track record. Because other than this, to our knowledge, other than this instance, he's never gone against her.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Again,
we don't know
it's
the history of it,
it's the
so
assumption. It's the assumption based on how they were talking, right?
yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm right. It just means that's the illusion that they're giving us right now. And so we had that going on, and then now Dr. Phosphorus. So we get to the house. He sees this kid. She obviously doesn't speak English, so he gets her. He makes her cereal and milk,
He
and
understands some of their language.
he's assuming. I'll say it that way.
He's putting like two and two together for certain things.
So I'm gonna do. I'm gonna. There's a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. So we're gonna talk about all of the present, and then we'll go into the past, because I'm not gonna do the back and forth like the show did. Mostly because I'll never do it right. So we get to see him with the kid and everything else. There's a couple of flashbacks, blah blah blah. We then during the now it's daylight, and all of a sudden the parents wake up and hear their kid outside, and they start
Yelling.
freaking out. Yes, and they run outside, and we just see Dr. Phosphorus like lifting the kid up and like playing with him. And he drops the kid, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I just wanted to play with your. I wanted to make sure your kid was safe or whatever." He goes, "Could you point me in the direction of the castle?" And they point, and he goes, "Thank you," and walks away. Um,
There were so many instances in that scene, in that scenario of scenes that they led it towards him murdering the family, and
oh, 100%.
it was so well done. It was insane.
They did such a good job of that in general because not only that, we also thought he might have even killed the kid at one point.
Yeah,
Like,
a couple of times where it was like something was, he dropped it. He's like, I really wish you didn't come downstairs. He said it multiple times.
no, I know.
It's like every time that scene cut away, it's like, don't tell me he did it.
Well, that was the whole thing, and so we get to see his past, which um, he was married, had a son.
Son. Yeah.
Okay. Um, it uh, and they're married. They have a kid. They're happily married.
He's a
Um,
scientist, and she is a political activist, I think, or something like that.
I was thinking diplomat, but both are
Diplomat. Yeah.
in the same realmish. Um, yes, I think we're on the same page there. And so
Something involving politics.
his whole idea was he was trying to fund his research to use radiation to get rid of cancer immediately.
Yep.
I don't remember if it was a specific type of radiation. It doesn't really matter. Um, and apparently he got his funding from the mob.
Rupert Thorne,
That's right.
which which we have seen in the past.
Have we seen him in? No, we haven't seen him in Batman, have we?
Yeah, we saw him in Cape Crusader.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Sorry. I was thinking of like the new universe. So my
No,
apologies.
no, no, sorry. Yeah, we know. We
No, no,
just
no.
recently saw him like
No, no, you're right. So anyway, he wanted missile secrets or weapon secrets. Isn't that what it was? He wanted some sort of country secrets.
I couldn't really follow that thing. I had assumed he wanted the like how he wanted like the blueprints for the radiation, and he so that way he wanted to give it to the country to use it so the country could put it in as a nuclear weapon. That's how
No,
I took it.
no, because the reason why I say that is because it sounded like it was more of like weapons, like where weapons were, and I would imagine his wife had that information, and she gave him like they gave him fake ones, and that's why he was being punished.
I know that I know at the end of the day he gave Rupert Thorne fake blueprints.
Yeah,
I I I
fake information. We'll just say
I
fake
don't
information.
remember. I thought, like I said, I thought it was like fake information for how the device was working, so that way he couldn't give it to the enemy. Could have been weapons.
Which
I
is what
don't.
threw me off because I thought it was like nuclear arms, and that's why I was like, Thorn is doing that. Why?
That's the only reason I don't think it is, just because the characters the way they are, like the scientist doesn't really have that access.
No, but the
The
wife
mob
might.
doesn't really care about that stuff. But you could be right. I don't remember the episode that well, so or that part of that scene.
No, no, I give you that. And anyway, so either way, he gave false information, and then they decide to kill his wife and son, and then
Yeah,
and
that
it's not
was
even the
messed up.
it was not even the death that bothered me. I know that sounds weird to say. What
The wife didn't bother me. The seeing the kid mangled that bothered me, and then what followed really
no,
bothered
what
me.
what followed is what really got me was when they were just rubbing his hands in the blood, putting his fingerprints on everything as this poor guy is crying.
Yep,
And then they bring him to his lab, which has the massive machine, and he goes, you tried to lie to me and everything else. Nobody lies to Thorn, and throws him into the device and cooks him. To be fair, they assume he's dead.
yep,
And to be fair, most people would have been. However, whatever happened to him in there, he radiated enough that he turned into a glowing skeleton, melted his way out of the building, and then began to kill Thorn as all his men.
and all his upper cronies.
All the ones that were involved in his wife and son's death, and
Yep,
then took over Thorn's business. He's like, everything that was Thorn's is mine. The drugs, the territory, mine. And they're
yep,
like, you got it, man. You got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no problem at all.
No question. No question. As you see them sweating. And then I love his goons' costumes, where it's just like gold, like glow in the dark yellow paint.
Yeah, no,
This is awesome.
that was like we were talking about at the beginning of the episode. Not Spider-Man not being that aesthetically pleasing, but then this is just like super like way out there, super colorful.
But in the best, like it worked. Like
Yeah,
it worked for Gotham, even though I don't think we were actually in Gotham.
no, we're in
Um,
Gotham.
oh yeah, because Thorn, duh, stupid.
Yeah,
Um,
and the spotlight that came at the end.
we're not there yet. So we have him basically be the head kingpin of everything, surrounded himself with beautiful women and everything else, and he's got his like most outrageous costumes, dancing in the clubs and everything else, and then all of a sudden we see none other than Batman.
The lights
And
go out, and they look up, and there's Batman.
yep, and so we assume he gets captured by Batman, obviously. Um,
People are assuming that that might have been it was at least some sort of lounge. People are maybe assuming it was the Iceberg Lounge just because of the coloring and how it looked, but um,
Unclear.
there was no confirmation.
Correct. But overall, it was such a good episode. Um,
We missed one character, one very important character. Actually,
the
no, we
princess.
didn't. We well, the princess is preparing for the creatures to arrive. Yes, but no. At the end of the episode, when the team finally comes together because they're at the castle, Weasel wakes up from taking a nap with the dogs, and we see a flashback where he's associating the princess with the little girl from his past.
Oh yes, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Um, so
I forgot about that.
he has an emotional attachment to the princess, so that's going to play some kind of factor.
Yeah, Nina's gonna get attacked by Weasel.
Either Nina or I I think at very least the bride, because the bride is very much like, we just got a mission to do, we got to do it. Obviously, Nina, I think Nina and Weasel have, like, Weasel kind of they have that little connection as well because Nina cares for him.
And I think
Um,
that might be the reason too of why, because like I said, the promo showed that like Bride's like you're the only one that can do it.
yeah.
And Dr. Frost was just like, yeah.
I mean, in
Doctor,
actuality, like Dr. Phosphorus could just walk in and murder anybody, and they won't even like.
that's my thing. So it's like I don't understand that thought process
As we
unless.
saw in literally the last episode, where he just single-handedly destroyed like multiple tanks.
Although I will say the best death was him holding the guy over the building and melting his legs until they fell.
Oh yeah,
That
that
was
was.
actually the best one.
It just says like, put me down, no problem. It's like,
You will eventually.
yep.
But yeah, I'm the next. It's obviously the final episode. We're gonna have a huge fight between Frankenstein, the Royal Knights, potentially Weasel, all fighting to try to kill the princess or protect her. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Frankenstein isn't really fighting because he wants to help any side. He just wants his bride.
No, he's gonna try to convince the bride to not kill him, and then she'll probably say something like, "If you kill the princess, I'll go out with you." I'm killing the princess.
Probably, actually, now that you say that, yeah,
That's
that
it.
would
That's how
that would
quick.
fit.
That to be fair, that works perfectly. But yeah,
Yeah,
that was pretty much it. I mean, I'm very excited for the season finale. I'm sad that
I'm
it's ending.
sad that it's coming to an end because I've just had so much. I've had fun with this episode, with this
This
show.
this was such a great show so far, and this was
Yeah,
the first introduction to
it was a great start to the
DCU.
DCU.
No, it
Yeah,
definitely was, and I
uh,
think this was the best way to start it, in the sense
absolutely.
of like how crazy it's going to be, and we're going to be seeing characters we've not seen live action before.
Yeah, no, I mean it. I know at the very beginning there were some people talking about how they didn't like that they started off with Creature Commandos just because they weren't well known characters, and it's like, you need, if you're starting a universe, you have to start with a bang, and they did that.
Well,
But
they
it's
did
better
do.
that they started with unknown characters in this situation, just so that way people get an idea of what they're doing.
I
Plus,
they also get it. They also get a universe build because it
yeah,
would be so focused on Superman and Batman that you wouldn't be paying attention to the world.
yeah,
This one, we're paying attention to the world.
they're giving us little tastes of everything. You know,
Yep, they're a scam. Um,
the mascara.
they're a scammer. Um,
I was watching back the episode that dropped that where you messed up Jimmy Olsen's name. I started laughing again because it's just like, this is so typically you, because I was talking to Steph, and I mess up purposely a word because what is it, anyways, there's a snack, and I purposely get the snack's name wrong, and she's like, you're so frustrating, and I'm like, you know what's frustrating? This just happened in the episode that we dropped, and I made her listen to it, and she heard it, and she's like, wait, did he get that name on purpose? She's like, no, that's the sad part.
the saddest part of the whole thing is, because I know you said in the actual episode, you were like, you really just did that on purpose, didn't you? And then I'm like, and then you obviously watched it back and realized it was not on purpose.
No, I was just instantly as soon as I got it wrong because you were making fun of me for getting something wrong, and you're just like, what's funny is I'm gonna get something simple wrong like Johnny Olsen, like you son of a.
Yeah, I literally was like, uh-oh, I messed up. But yeah, so Creature Commandos is going to be great. I'm very much looking forward to the season finale. But let's get right into talking about your character spotlight, which are the Creed twins, Creed brothers,
they they are the Craig brothers.
Craig brothers. Craig
Um,
brothers. I'm listening
yep.
intently.
So, oh geez. All right. So when I was looking them up, it's more in this episode they were brothers with meta powers. In the comics, it's more focused on one of them. They just split it between like in the episode they split it between two. So the main guy that
Wait, can I get clarification? You mean like only one of the brothers have it, or they can switch between which brother has it?
one of the brothers has powers.
Okay, sorry, continue.
From my understanding of the quick little digging that I did, it
That's fine.
was one brother. They're together, but one of them has powers. um, so the one that has powers, his name is Nathan Craig Jones. He was introduced in 2001.
So say 1492.
Yeah. Um, so his in the episode, like I told you, they were called the Craig brothers, but in the comics, he is known as Coldcast. He is originally a member of the Elite and later joined the Justice League Elite. So Nathan Jones and his brother Christopher came up hard on the mean streets of Chicago. Nathan lost his right eye while still a teenager when he was drawn into a fight with the local street gang while defending his brother. Now that fight actually triggered his metagene. Um, Nathan discovered he was able to detect and manipulate energy interactions. Eventually, he was met by Manchester Black, who is the head of the Elite, and recruited him to join said group and gave him the nickname Coldcast. Unfortunately, the Elite were a misguided group and often resorted to uh, unnecessary amount of violence. They disregarded international and civil laws, and a lot of instances, they eventually got into a conflict in Libya with Superman.
As we all do.
You cause problems, Superman comes and saves you.
In Libya specifically, but continue.
The team's first battle with Superman ended in a victory for them, largely due to Coldcast. Later, Superman ended up having another fight with them, and they ended up fighting on Jupiter's moon, Io. He was able to defeat them and take them into custody. During the fight, Coldcast was swayed by Superman's example and would go on to join the successor of the Elite, the Justice League Elite. Sorry, I accidentally hit a wrong button. During his time with the Justice League Elite, Coldcast developed a relationship with Menagerie. Can't say her name, so I apologize.
No, Menagerie, you're right.
Oh, I am? Okay.
If it's who I think it is, I think you're actually saying it correct. Menagerie.
Okay. He later
into a bunch of animals.
Let me.
Not that it matters, because a menagerie is normally like glass items and stuff like that. It either has to do with glass or.
No.
Is it animals?
The younger sister of the original Menagerie, who was a member of the Elite, Sonia inherited her older sister's alien Creche. After the Elite member, Manchester Black lobotomized her.
I was more focused on her powers.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them. Sonia has control over tiny alien parasites called symbies, which resemble microscopic bugs that crawl along her body in order to form different shapes or weapons.
Oh yeah, so no, Menagerie's correct. You're good.
Oh, okay. So, Um,
It's yeah, it's yeah, menagerie.
okay, thank you.
No, no problem. Yep.
um, so after their relationship, he later suffered a fallout with the elite, coming into conflict with his brother Christopher, who joined an underground drug ring known as Aftermath. Um, Cold Cold Case later incarcerated in the slab for the death of dictator Hishan Bat before being freed by his teammate Kasumi and rejoined the elite in helping freeing Vera Black. Um, After freeing Vera, Coldcast and the elite tracked down Menagerie, who was responsible for framing Coldcast for Hishan Bat's death in Costa Rica. Uh, After some time, he eventually got cleared for all of his murder charges and was set free. Um, Powers and abilities. Coldcast has power of magnetism.
Okay.
Um, so that allows him to manipulate particles at a subatomic level. Among other things, this permits him to generate powerful EMPs and other blasts spamming the electromagnetic spectrum, even allowing him to stop Superman in his tracks by slowing down his electrons.
S- I just have a question because I don't. I guess his name doesn't match his power.
I think it was just the gang that he was a part of.
Okay,
Just
okay.
that was the nickname that they gave him, and he stuck with it.
No,
It
that's
was a.
fine. It's just you understand what I'm saying, like,
I
because
understand.
Coldcast, I'm
Like,
like, so does like it does it like I guess in a way like your idea would be slowing somebody down would then you would think that they were cold. I don't know. I'm just saying like you
no,
understand what I'm saying.
I agree. While going through this, I'm like, when I was first reading reading the character, I was getting confused. I was like, who's Coldcast and why are we, what does this have to do with
The
Nathan
electricity.
Craig? And then it's like, no, that's just his nickname.
All right, fair enough.
um, so off of the electromagnetism, he has electromagnetic levitation, which allows him to fly and detect changes in the Earth electromagnetic field. He has electromagnetic fields, which cold cast an electromagnetic field just like the Earth and the sun generates their own electromagnetic fields. Coldcast can create barriers and shields that can be used to block, repel, and hold back attacks and defend himself in battle. He also has electromagnetic force bolts, which you can guess projectiles and shields, going
Yeah,
off of that,
which makes sense.
and creating the EMPs. Um, he is They categorize Street Fighter as an ability. So Nathan Jones is skilled in mid-range unarmed combat. This
Okay.
comes to an advantage in large battles and brawls in which he can take advantage of the chaos to attack enemies one-on-one. He has no formal trainings aside for growing up on the streets of Chicago. I don't know if you watched it, but there was an animated movie where it was Superman versus the Elite, and this group was obvious, like I said, was a part of it, and which is why they said like he's come into conflict with Superman quite often, because that was a major plot, and that was actually the. I don't know if you've ever seen Clippets, but there's an animated one where it looks like Superman's crossing the line and murdering each member of this group, uh,
Whatever
which
they were.
ended up being an illusion. He didn't actually kill them, but this is that group.
So that's cool. But I wanted to bring this up because there's a picture of the Creature Commandos in the comics, and they're wondering if we're going to see these characters in season two.
Oh,
So there's what looks like the mummy, a werewolf-like creature. Are you a ghost? No, Medusa-looking.
oh,
And then there's a Xeno, and then there looks like a bounty hunter. So I'm very curious on that front. But we made it this far into the episode. Is your character spotlight done?
Yes, it is done.
Next week, we're going to be talking about the season finale of Creature Commandos, the latest episode of Skeleton Crew, and then we'll be moving. We'll also be talking about season 1 of Jessica Jones, and ending with a character spotlight from me. So for now, if you made it this far into the video, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Scott and Mike signing out of the Black Eel Podcast. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye.